You're at a job interview. You get the "what is your biggest weakness?" question. What is your answer?
Terrified at public speaking is usually the one I go with. It's fairly relatable but easy to brush off by saying I get past it through practice. It also has the benefit of being true.
I usually approach it honestly. I'm super hard on myself to the point that it can be counterproductive. So I typically don't need a lot of coaching when I fuck up, but I need to be reminded to move on.
The year is 2015 and I'm interviewing for my first job at an unnamed game studio. I'm super nervous. I did the pre-interview tests and they liked them. And I get the question. I get really nervous and I talk a lot and ramble. It's pretty much word vomit until my brain catches up with my mouth until I catch up with what I just said, and most of the time I can't really remember the question. It got a lot of laughs in the room, but I really couldn't remember at the time what the director just asked me.
I'm terrible at interviews, got me my job.
Honest answer followed by how you're improving. I tend to procrastinate, but I keep that at bay by sticking to a to-do list, etc.
Hand them a quality business card that says I over-prepare.
This might only be applicable to someone newly out of college or applying for entry-level jobs, but I had a professor tell me to say a lack of experience. If you're applying for an intro-level job, it's expected. It's a weakness that's not really your fault, and you can spin it as a reason you should get the job. I sing in the shower. Sometimes I spend too much time volunteering. Occasionally I'll hit somebody with my car. My answer to that question at the local ice cream parlor was my biggest weakness is chocolate. I got the job. And a free scoop of chocolate ice cream every day I worked there. Edit. Thanks for the award. Interviewer, what is your greatest weakness? Me, answering the semantics of a question while ignoring the pragmatics provided by the context. Interviewer, interesting. Could you give me an example? Me, yes, either my crippling alcoholism or penchant for theft, but I'm working on it. Hick, confidence. Need to stop second-guessing myself and realize that I'm good.
The back of my neck is extremely sensitive. If someone were to grab me by my neck and dig their nails, I'd most likely pass out, therefore making it easier for someone to steal items.
Well, I'd say my weakness is the cause of me getting fired from my last 8 jobs. I bring in too many turtles apparently. I don't know how many the right amount of turtles is because I've brought anywhere from 50 up to 300. It seems unreasonable to bring less than 50, so I just don't get it. I would be honest during my interview about how many turtles I plan to bring to work with me and let loose in the facility, but they never ask. What about you guys? How many turtles do you guys bring to not get fired?
My usual go-to is that I have had difficulty with taking criticisms personally, especially against me when in a leadership role. I then follow up with talking about how I'm working on it and feel I've improved as I've taken on roles with more responsibility. It is an annoying question, but if you can find something to talk about honestly, and also explain how you are working to improve it, you're golden.
I'm too humble. Perhaps the most humble person on the planet.
Me, I can be very vague. Interviewer, care to elaborate? Me, yeah, when I'm sexually aroused I streets tutter.
Wooden stakes to the heart. Not that I'm a vampire, I'm just pretty sure that would kill B.
My last boss told me that I'm condescending and that it's a huge area I need to work on. That means I talk down to people.
Honesty. I don't think that's really a weakness. I don't give a shit what you think.
Priapism. People don't like to work alongside me.
Poor penmanship and swearing too much are my go-tos. Hiring managers usually get a chuckle out of it.
I don't let people walk over me, so I assume that's gonna be a problem for you guys. So I don't think you're fit for the job. Not letting you f***ers tell me if I'm fit for a job. I'll see you guys Monday.
I don't do good work when I'm multitasking. Since I know this about myself, when I'm managing multiple projects at once, I allot time to concentrate on each separately. Any manager that doesn't have enough people skills or self-awareness to know that everyone is shitty at doing 2 high-level thinking tasks at once is not someone I want to work for.
Thank you for your time, but I don't believe this is the right fit. Please delete my contact information.
Honestly, interviews. I've got a great work ethic, and I'm a petty quick learner, but my interview skills are pretty lacking. I have very little patience for questions that are designed to force me to act in a way counter to my best interests.
The obvious ones are those. I'm a perfectionist, I suppose. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. But they are so cheesy and BS. The best is just being honest. My biggest weakness? I'm a fat mofo, and if anyone leaves food on my desk, it's getting eaten, no questions asked.
Your eyes, and then I lean in for the kiss.
Being poor, but I'm working on improving that by getting this job.
Sometimes when I'm in a situation that's sort of inauthentic and artificial, I just lean into it a little. I'm not a jerk about it, but I'll do or say something that just highlights the absurdity before I get back on task.
Seed sniffing. Don't worry. It's not creepy. It's actually a huge compliment.
Bullets. Both the gun kind and I use too many in PowerPoint presentations.
I have this glowing blue eye right in the middle of my forehead that I open every 30 seconds. 5 arrows through it knock me right out. Why do you ask?
I usually say that I've been told I work too quickly, but I'm learning to strike a balance between working quickly and reducing errors.
I have a solid management background. I always tell them that I am bad at delegating. I prefer to do it myself so I know it gets done right and on time. That it is hard for me to trust other coworkers at first. That answer seems to work so far.
Do you want the real answer, or the weakness that's actually a strength answer that everyone is supposed to say?
Strength. Strength is my weakness.
It's a stupid question and I refuse to ask it. It's a poorly structured attempt to establish a person's capability for learning and self-reflection. A better way to phrase it would be something like, tell me about the biggest mistake you have made at work. What happened, how did you resolve it, and what did you learn from it? Just had an interview. Was honest. Remembering people's names. I think most people can relate to that, too. And I mentioned that I have developed strategies to make sure it doesn't get in the way. Got the job offer.
My biggest weakness is performing X skill, that is not involved in this job. I realize that my strengths lie elsewhere, which is why I have applied for jobs in this industry that utilize my strengths instead of weaknesses. For me, I say I have performed poorly in jobs that require physical labor, and so I've specifically chosen to strengthen my resume in areas outside of physical labor. You could do that with anything. I'm not good at dealing at sales when I don't believe in the product. So, I'm applying here because I do believe in this product. Etc. Frame your weakness as something that doesn't matter to this job. I was on an interview panel and one of the candidates said their biggest weakness was, I always need to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I pay too much attention to the small details and may lose track of the bigger picture.
Shitting in public restrooms.
I can't change my own diaper.
I have a strong desire to make sure that things are done and done correctly. Unfortunately, at times that has led me to be distracted and concerned with things that other employees or my subordinates are responsible for. It's been part of my growth as a supervisor to trust that my employees can perform their jobs properly and verify that they are doing it, instead of hovering or doing it for them.
I've been accused of plagiarism before. Their words, not mine.
For any current science students looking to get jobs after graduating. And #X200B. I said, and employers liked, I never trust myself the first time with calculations and take too much time checking my math for calculating simple things like buffer and sample creation. I'll do the math, but I'll feel like I need to double check and triple check it before I actually weigh out the amount, and it always takes a lot longer than it should. And #X200B, please don't tell them an actual strictly negative weakness. You're just hurting your interview. The trick is to come up with something like this, where it's a positive trait disguised as a weakness. Having an answer like this, rather than a typical negative like I procrastinate, also shows that you prepared for the interview.
I go with an honest answer that most recruiters can relate to. I say something along the lines of the fact that when I'm not busy I tend to get very bored and distracted and my levels of productivity go way down.
Had a guy tell me once in an interview his weakness is cheesecake. We hired him.
On one of those tests they make you take prior getting a job that graph your skills. Most of them were beyond average but self-confidence. It was the lowest score of all, almost down to 0. So that's that.
I work too hard. I care too much. And sometimes I can be too invested in my job. I don't like saying no to people because it leaves me feeling like I've let somebody down, even if saying yes means that I'm then totally unable to meet prior obligations. I say yes unless I'm in the foulest of moods. I mean, there's no legit way to turn it around into a positive, beyond saying but I'm getting better at saying no. Edit. I also fully don't trust delegating my workload to anybody. There's a guy who when he sees me stressing always offers to help me out, and I'll look through my list of shit to do and just sorta non-committally say there's nothing I can pass off.
Sometimes, when I'm taking a dump, my dick lines up perfectly with the crack between the bowl and seat and I accidentally pee all over the back of my pants. But I'm working on it.
Always saying yes to overtime. You say I don't have a weakness. They're either impressed by your confidence and boldness or you're laughed out of the room.
My biggest weakness is also my biggest strength. My anxiety. The fear consumes me. However, that same fear motivates me to do my best.
If I'm being honest, I've been told by a manager that I don't handle what I deem to be stupid people or stupid questions very well. But I wouldn't admit that in an interview because it just means I'm an asshole.
Coming from my art teacher, it's my overall negative opinion on my artwork and myself in general. It got to a point where she set homework and one of the criteria was to not be too negative.
I can be too casual when presenting to executives.
I always say names. I'm bad with names but working on getting better. Folding fitted sheets.
I expect a lot of myself and I can sometimes get frustrated when the people I work with don't hold themselves to the same standards. But I've learned to be forgiving and coach up, down, and laterally, and I've seen positive results when I engage in that way. That is, the humble brag.
I always answer, my weakness is that I like to solve problems on my own even though I could easily ask a supervisor or someone for help. This makes it look like her persistent and find solutions on her own without needing help.
I don't have patience for stupid fucking questions like this one. Next question.
This. It's socially acceptable to be bad at public speaking. You don't do it enough. Best answer Rimo. Edit, I mean actually public speaking. Not group meetings, not being a teacher act. Microphone speaking. Yes, some jobs this is a bad idea. I'm not good at something I don't have experience in. Majority of people do not have experience public speaking in front of a crowd.
While I agree, I lost a job for answering exactly this. I was applying for a sales position and was given the okay by manager A. While I was going through the final steps of paperwork etc., manager A changed positions, so now I had to interview with the new manager, B. Manager B asked me this goddamned question and I mentioned public speaking as a weakness that I was working on. Dude was like, oh shit, that's not good, and I didn't get the job. Though I guess it wasn't a good look for a sales position, so I blamed myself for not preparing a better answer. God, I hate this fucking question.
Wouldn't this depend on the job you are applying for? If it is a very guest-facing position, it would probably cost you the job.
You are up. I work with a company who loved that about me, then 3 years into training they decided to switch gears into quantity over quality and it's really fucked me up.
Did they ever name the game studio?
Thank you for watching. We publish amazing Reddit stories every day. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to keep the dog smiling.